So compost is produced. You've got two major types of compost on the market. You'll have green waste compost, and that green waste is either from curbside collections, landscaping waste, could be from big projects and things. And then you've also got the green food included compost, and that is where food from your storage bins from your kitchen is included within the compost production process. If you're producing green compost, it's usually an open windrow outdoor process, turned windrows. The process is relatively fast. Your garden compost might take 12 months to produce, but on a fully mechanised industrial site, you're looking at sort of 8 to 12 weeks production. You've then got, if you've got food included, it has to be a totally enclosed system, and that's what we call in-vessel composting. And in an in-vessel composting process, the compost is has to go through what we call two barriers. And the first, we've got to heat it to remove any potential, lower any pathogens and loading within the material. And that is all subject to animal byproduct regulations. So it's safe because we have effectively lowered the pathogen loading. Then we go into a second phase where it again is enclosed, but it's in a maturation phase. So that compost undergoes a much more thorough process. And then what we're actually aiming for is the PAS 100 standard for composting. So on the PAS 100 limits, in order to pass PAS 100, you've got to have an E. coli loading of less than 1,000 coliform forming units. Now, to put that into perspective, farmyard manure's probably got about 100,000 in it. Okay, so we have to be very clean on that loading. Salmonella has to be absent. And then in terms of plastic, the plastic limits come down recently. So we're now looking at 0.25% mass for mass, of which 0.12% can be plastic. In terms of what you need on farm, it's horses for courses. If you're going to use compost to mulch, then you're looking at a 40mm screen, because you want nice big bits of material that will mulch for apple tree production or along those lines. Now, in previous years, they used to sell that grade into agriculture because they thought the bigger pieces would bump up the organic matter and the structure of the soil much more quickly. If you then take it down a sieve size, so anything which will pass between 26mm or 30mm, you immediately remove a higher proportion of plastics. And if you're going to a horticultural grade, what you want, if you're growing something like lettuce in the field or something that's got a very fast turnaround, is you want it to have a big surface area to react with the plant and be able to be used by the plant. And at that stage, you use a 10mm screen. So it's very much buying it for what you want to use it for in terms of screen size. And when you get these batches on farm, for PAS 100, they have to analyse every 5,000 cubic metres on site. You're going to get a slice of that 5,000 cubic metres. And the nutrient loading will vary. So just take a batch analysis. So before it comes on farm, go around the site and pick up a sample, or when it arrives, take a sample of compost, get it sent off. It's only going to cost you 50 quid max, and then you'll have your P&K much more accurately. Because what happens on site, if you think of deliveries into that site, in the spring you're going to get loads of lush grass cuttings, Christmas time, Christmas trees, woody materials, and if it's a big site they'll be able to blend that and they'll store elements, because actually those Christmas trees and large woody fraction aerate the heap nicely. So you normally will be blending through the year, but whichever way you look at it, spring is going to have something which is much higher nutrient loading than something that's going to be available in the autumn and later on. I mean, the other major tests which should give you more confidence in using compost that come into PAS 100 are that you want a stable product. Now, in previous years as well, we had what we call shred and spread operations, where they took the green waste and they didn't compost it properly, And if it doesn't go through that stabilisation and maturation phase, if it doesn't reach the correct temperatures in the heap, you won't get weed seed kill and you won't get pathogen kill. So it's very important that this is a very monitored process. We've got temperature probes in the heap. We're monitoring it right the way through production under the PAS 100 standard. So then that means that once we deliver it on farm, we know it's stable. It's not going to be red hot when you apply it to your soils. It's going to be beneficial to soil health on this stability test. And we also do a germinating weed seed test. And that basically has to be 0 in order for it to come out on farm. And this weed seed area was a great area of concern, but actually if you're purchasing something that has properly passed the PAS 100 standard, that concern should be addressed. And then finally we look at germination, and we use the most sensitive plant, which is tomatoes, to check that the conductivity of the compost isn't going to affect germinating seeds. So that means you can put it on in the autumn quite happily. You can get it into the seed bed and it shouldn't affect in any detrimental way the germination process. So compost should be very safe and reliable to use these days. It is fair to say that you've got some very good on-farm compost produced by smaller producers who may not conform to the PAS 100 standard, because it is quite an expensive thing to qualify for. And in that instance, that compost is a waste, not a product. Therefore, it has to be applied under waste management, a SR 2010 number 4 land spreading permit with deployments for every 50 hectares of land to which it's going to be applied. So you may come across that compost and it may be just as good or better than a PAS 100 compost. So don't rule it out, look at it, but really the PAS 100 standard is all about having a specification to work to in the production of the compost, and then following the quality protocol in England and Wales to say that you applied it properly and that it's doing the job on farm.